In the ancient Christian church, all believers were called saints. Then as time went by, there were certain people who lived such exemplary Christian lives that the faithful would look at them and say, you see that person over there? That's a real saint. So eventually, the term moves from being something that's used generally to talk about all the believers to a specific title for believers who lead exemplary Christian lives. When you're in an Orthodox service and you hear that invitation commemorating our most holy, most pure, most blessed and glorious Lady, the Mother of God and ever Virgin Mary, with all the saints, let us commend ourselves and each other and our whole life to Christ our God. That's an invitation to be a saint. In the ancient Christian church, all believers were called saints. This is how Paul uses the term in his writings, greet the saints that are in these particular communities. Then as time went by, there were certain people who lived such exemplary Christian lives that the faithful would look at them and say, you see that person over there? That's a real saint. So eventually, the term moves from being something that's used generally to talk about all the believers to a specific title for believers who lead exemplary Christian lives. The word saint simply means holy. And for something to be holy, it meant that it was set apart exclusively for worshiping and serving the living God. In the temple, for example, if a tray or a cup was called holy, then it was only used for Israel's worship of the living God. We brought the same understanding with us in Christianity. A holy thing is used exclusively in church. A chalice is holy. We only use it for the Eucharist. An icon is holy. It's not just aesthetically pleasing, but it has a function within our prayer life. It brings to us the presence of the one depicted in it. Now, when we talk about making something holy, blessing it, what we are doing is we are offering it to God. Again, dedicating it to His service, His worship. And when God receives something from us, receives these offerings from us, He gives it back to us more than it was before. We offer to God a physical thing. He gives it back to us, infused with a spiritual reality. Now, this is the same idea then when we talk about saints, when we talk about people being holy. We give ourselves to God in His worship and service, and He blesses us, and He makes us even more than we are now. People can be afraid to make the commitment to follow Christ because they're afraid that somehow they're going to lose out on themselves. They're not going to be who they are anymore. But in reality, when we give ourselves over to God, we lose nothing of ourselves. We discover the fullest and deepest meaning of who we are. In the Gospels, Christ says that He comes to give us life and life in abundance. By offering ourselves to Christ, we're not giving anything up. We are receiving much more from Him by His grace than we could ever have on our own.